All right, we're moving on. On Sunday, we shared with you, for those that are not aware, on Facebook, we have a caregivers only private forum. I mean, we do have a private forum that's open to anyone. And, people like to just kind of chit chat amongst themselves in this private forum. I think that they derive more offline out of Facebook, honestly. Facebook is great, but people tend to communicate more within in our community of Aortic Hope community members outside through hangouts, through the support group meetings, et cetera. But we do have a caregivers only community, and that includes a Facebook page. Uh, that's strictly for caregivers. I mean, you've got to answer questions to be accepted. It is private, so all your thoughts and comments are only for members there. And they also have their own support group meetings twice a month. So there's a link to their private forum that's on Facebook. There's also events that are in our events page, which you'll see in a minute, that are caregiver only support group meetings. And we do have some guest speakers sometimes. Some physicians will pop in, doctor of pharmacy, uh, attorneys. So they have the same guest speakers that the rest of the organization would have as well. But just wanted you to know about that. So if you're a caregiver or you're a community member, you're a patient or survivor, and you want to tell your caregiver, because caregivers, look, they were traumatized too. They've been through this with us every step of the way. And sometimes they just need that safe space to be able to get off their chest how they're feeling and not be concerned that as patients we might have our feelings hurt, which is very likely to happen for some people, and that would be normal and natural. So have that place to have those discussions and just to have a place to get it off your chest, and that would be our caregivers community right there. Okay, let's
They're
talk
great
about the
meetings.
events.
They're great meetings, the caregivers meetings. I get to monitor some of those.
I would not know
Yeah,
because I'm not
and
allowed in.
there's a phenomenon that happens, especially like in both of these different communities. The support group system for post or post diagnosed aortic aneurysm
Hmm.
or post surgery aortic dissection. Like we, as the community of people that are in these groups, we get to watch as the color comes back, the smiles become easier, and
Yeah.
like the rose gets the sunlight again, and it starts to bloom.
Hmm.
And that same phenomenon happens in the caregivers group when they realize that they can talk to other people who've been through this fight as well.
Yeah.
The isolation from family and friends who have no idea what you guys are talking about. It's a thing, and that's
Yeah.
why these support groups they're so good for everyone.
And I think they're also good too because, I used to moderate a support group with Crohn's and colitis, and then the ones I went to were led by nursing staff. And not to say that it wasn't wonderfully led, but they didn't have Crohn's or colitis. So I just didn't understand what we were going through. They can only speak about it from a medical perspective. But in having these groups, which we established, now it's been 6 years, going on 7 years, to have them led by other survivors, patients, caregivers, or those that are grieving, I think just makes it so much more personal. And it's a human element to it, a relatable element that other support groups that are not led by the same people, they really just they don't have that element. I'm not saying that they wouldn't be beneficial, but when you have somebody who is leading it, at least moderating it, that has the same thing you have. It just makes it different. And we know that a lot of relationships, a lot of friendships, a lot of one on one mentorship have happened because of being in this group setting. People do end up then chatting offline, and that's perfectly acceptable in their business. And we know that these relationships are strong. I mean, people notice when someone hasn't participated in a couple weeks, and people get concerned. And that's wonderful to know people check on people and think about each other. They talk about each other. They're there to help each other. And so that's another added benefit that just happens from meeting with each other.